Splendor, the greatest gemstone merchants of the Renaissance. As the leader of a merchant guild, you invest in mines, send your ships to the New World, and recruit the most renowned artisans. Build a commercial empire and receive the visits of wise monarchs, patrons with infinite resources to acquire glory and prestige.
Inside the game box, you're going to find the rule book. There should be 10 noble cards, and they're all 3-pointers. And for each one of them, you're going to have the requirements that have to be met to get a visit from them. So this one requires 3 green gem cards, 3 blue and 3 white. This one, to get a visit from her, you'll need 3 black, 3 red, 3 white. From this guy, it's 4 blue and 4 red. So there should be 10 nobles. There are 90 development cards, and they go from level 1 with 1 dot on the back up to level 3. The green ones are level 1, the orange ones are level 2, the blue ones are level 3. And also, the level 1 development cards only have a few that will score points. A lot of them, for example, this one will give you 1 point. The rest of them are blank, but you still get the permanent for that particular gem color. The level 2 cards are generally slightly higher in value, but they're not as high as the level 3 cards. So some of them go up to 5 points, 4, 3, and you should have 90 total for all 3 decks. You'll also have 40 tokens in 6 different colors. Now there are 7 of each color except for the gold. And the gold, you'll only have 3 chips for that color, but everything else has 7. And that's what's inside the box. Setup for a game of Splendor is pretty easy. First, shuffle the 3 development card decks, shuffle your noble tiles, and then lay your gems tokens on the other side. Next, reveal 4 cards from each level, and then like so. Then for a 4-player game, it's going to be 4 noble tiles plus 1. For a 3-player game, you reveal 3 noble tiles plus 1, and then for a 2-player game, it's 2 tiles plus 1. So let's say we're playing with 3 players. So you'll reveal 4 nobles. Also, in a 4-player game, you'll have all chips available, but in a 3-player game, you remove 2 from each stack except for the gold, the wild tokens. And in a 2-player game, where you remove 3 gems from each stack except for the gold. And that is the setup for Splendor. The youngest player begins the game, then play proceeds clockwise. On a player's turn, they have 1 of 4 possible actions they can take. They can either draw 3 gems of different colors, with the exception of the gold one, which is a wild gem. They can grab 2 of one color, only if the stack of gems for that color is 4 or more. They can reserve a development card, any one of the face-up cards, and also grab a gold gem, and that will be only for that player to purchase. And the last thing a player can do is to purchase a development card with the gems that they've acquired and the bonus cards that they may have accumulated. A player can never have more than 10 tokens at the end of their turn, and that includes the Joker, which is the gold token. A player can discard down to 10, and they can choose whichever tokens they want to discard. And another reminder, a player cannot take 2 tokens of the same color if that stack of tokens has less than 4 in it. To reserve a development card, you simply take a gold token and one of the face-up reserve cards and reserve it. You can have up to 3 development cards on reserve, and only you can purchase it, or that player that reserved those cards can purchase it. Now, if the gold stack has been depleted, you can still reserve a card, but you won't get the added reward of having a gold token. The reserved cards are only visible to the player that has reserved them, and the gold tokens can be spent anytime a player would normally spend their tokens. As the game progresses, players will gather gems. I'd say, keeping with the 10 gem limit, and let's say they've also reserved a card. Once a player has enough gems, they can decide to purchase one of the development cards. So, for example, this card gets you 1 victory point, as well as a permanent white development card, which is a permanent white gem, but the cost of it is 4 green gems, either a combination of gems or gems and development cards. So to purchase this, a player will either have to have, let's say, they had purchased that in another round, and they will need 4 gems total. So with the normal tokens, that's 3 right there, and then an extra 1. This player will now be able to purchase this development card, and you can stack those along with the same colored gems. That way you can easily keep track of them. So now this player has 1 permanent green token and 1 permanent white token. And then once a card has been purchased from the deck, you'll flip one over to replace it. And then the game continues. To purchase a reserved card is the same as purchasing a card from the board, with the exception of only the player that reserved the card can purchase that development card. So in this case, it'll take 7 white tokens or a combination of tokens, cards, and wild gems to purchase this card. And this will give that player a permanent blue token and 4 points. At the end of a player's turn, they may get a visit from a noble if they meet the development card requirements. So in this case, to get a visit from him, this player will have to have 4 black development cards and 4 red development cards. It has to be development cards and not tokens. So in this case, this player meets the requirements, they'll get a visit from him, and that's 3 points. If a player meets the requirements to be visited by more than one noble. Unfortunately, only one noble can visit at a time, and that player will have to wait another turn. Which in that case, another player might get the visit instead of the original player. So that's something to keep in mind. Once a player reaches 15 prestige points, finish out the turns so that everybody gets the same number of turns. And then whoever has the most prestige points wins the game. And don't forget to count your nobles also, because they're worth 3 points each. If there's a tie, then the player with the least number of development cards will win the game. And I guess if there's still a tie, play again.
Alright, it's Lori again. Tonight we're going to play Splendor, which is a game I've played many times, and I don't think have won yet, and actually usually get killed on this game. So tonight I am going to adjust my strategy a little and work on going after the nobles. It seems like that may be a better way to win, is go for those high point guys at the top. We'll see what happens. This is always, for some reason, I feel like I'm always doing well partway through, and then near the end I'm way behind. So hopefully I can change that tonight, and we'll see what happens.
I'm Charles Vermillion. I tend to play this game quite a bit on the app, and it's quite fun. I usually go for the strategy of just blitzing out the first tier cards, and that usually beats out the AI very well, but doesn't work too well against players. Still, fun strategy, so we'll just see what happens. Still, it's a terrible setup for that sort of strategy.
Hey, I'm Gun Cody, your Garish man. So, about ready to play Splendor, and I'm thinking the common denominator between most of the cards happens to be blacks, and a lot of the cards on top, the noblemen, are looking for reds. So I'm going to try and steal all the blacks from everybody else so that nobody else can buy the cards that I want to. And I think that might give me some kind of position of leverage over them. I think.
Hey guys, it's Jasper again, your everyday man. So I noticed that a lot of times when we play the game, the winner usually has the bottom tier kind of locked in, like enough to, depending on the nobles up top, you kind of want to get an edge on the common colors. So if there's an abundance of reds that you need, you want to try to get at least halfway there before you can begin on your second tier cards. And I think one thing I've also noticed is that the 1 point second tier cards are not as good as the 2 pointers, obviously, but the 2 pointers is just 1 or 2 chips more, and you get a point plus you get the card that you want. So I'm going to be focusing on mainly the second tier cards and trying to get an edge, a head start on the different nobles. So we'll see how it goes. Let's crush them. You got one of a few actions. You can draw chips. You can draw 3 different colored chips, excluding the gold one, which is a wild. You can draw 2 chips of the same color as long as there are at least 4 chips of that color in the stack. You can reserve a card using a gold chip, and only you can purchase that card. And then you can use a chip anytime you want, and you've got a maximum of 3 reserve cards you can keep. All right. Who's going first?
I guess it's me. Look at this playing field. Let's start with some chips. Get the game going.
Okay, grabbing white, black, red.
Black and red. That's right. That's what I'm doing.
All right. Drawing chips.
I think I'm going to go with the black, white, and red.
Okay.
It's got
Okay.
a good
Copy.
advisor.
Jeez.
Yeah. Huh. Well.
Whatever option you take, you're going to get beaten out by either me or Lori.
Well, I might as well make this option now.
Yeah, I feel like that was going to be pulled out
Oh,
early.
thank you kindly.
I feel like that was going to be pulled out early.
Ooh. I want to get a visit from every one of these. From every one of these nobles.
Well, because they're so attractive.
Yeah. Jesus. You got Red Witch.
Yeah, like
She's hot.
Queen
She's
of
hot.
Hearts.
Yeah. Queen of Hearts.
It's like Uma Thurman in the middle.
Yeah.
Alright, Charles, you're good.
Very familiar faces.
Ooh, yeah. That's my neighbor over here.
Digging on a black, red. Let's dig it to the green.
Okay. I'm going to get a green, white, blue.
You're turn in and buy a card.
White, black.
And blue for this guy.
Alright.
How did you
Still knife. And one of these for blue.
Everybody's so aggressive. I'm just trying to.
Gotta be first round.
Yeah.
That's when that starts getting really crunchy.
I'll just take 2 blacks.
Okay. Alright. I might reserve this card right here.
No reason.
So that's a green. Sorry, gun. Yeah. I'm gonna reserve.
Had to happen, didn't it?
No.
Two whites. Alright. And remember, you can have a maximum of 10 chips in your stock.
We get 8 over there?
5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, better start buying stuff. Too bad somebody took it out from underneath you.
Never buy.
I will reserve this guy. He's making a ring. of some sort. Okay. Craftsman. Don't look into his eyes. Don't look.
No.
What does he remind you of? Did you ever watch Law and Order?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jimmy
Quite a
Smits?
bit.
Jimmy
A little
Smits and
bit,
Law and
little
Order.
bit, little bit. Yeah, I see Jimmy Smith's not these things. Even though I'm not a big Mel Gibson fan, I'm just buying a Mel Gibson over here.
Oh, get in the middle. Ooh, another. Another Jimmy.
Dude, bro, that's
Jimmy.
That's creepy. That is creepy, for sure. What am I doing? I think I made an error.
So, 3, 2, 3.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not one away from anything except for the one that you took. 3, 2. I steal it back. She was mine up for a second.
Alright, I'll pay 2 and 2. Get another visitor. 3 white, 3 blue, 3 green.
Nice.
Oh,
Oh,
my
the
neighbor.
Two women.
My neighbor
Oh my
and
goodness.
Oh, look at the way they're look at the way they're looking at
hi.
something vaguely in front of each other.
Hey guy. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that is it.
At 16.
Splendor.
16 points, and you had
9.
Charles had 9, Gun
10.
10, 11, 12. The everyday man only had 13.
I can't believe
I mean, the ladies' man.
Look at this dude.
Oh yeah.
He does look like I'm trying to think what celebrity he looks like.
Yeah. King of the North.
That actually worked. I can't believe that worked.
Yeah. That was Splendor. Lori won with 16 points. Gun had
I was pretty high too. 11.
11. Okay.
Ish.
Charles, how many did you have?
9. Lowest of
9?
the game.
Okay. And I had 13.
10.
So, did your strategy work?
It actually
Apparently it worked.
It actually did, and I actually tried to stick with trying to go after the nobility early.
Okay. Once. So go ahead.
Yeah, the strategy actually worked, and I actually tried to stick with it as best I could. Tried to look at what the nobility required. I did have almost a snag when I couldn't seem to get any white cards, and 3 of the 5 required white. So I just gave up on those and just sort of focused on the 2 that actually just didn't have any white in them, and was actually able to do it, and it worked better than I thought it would.
Yeah. It seemed like you got those first tier cards early on.
I did,
and
yeah.
that really helped. I don't know. I was real surprised like how quickly you got 2 of them. You know.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It did. I think I did kind of luck out because I think you pulled reserved ones early,
Mhm.
so I had new ones pop out that I actually could buy. Like I wouldn't have with what was left on the tableau. So that actually worked to my advantage. If you had just pulled coins, I wouldn't have been able to buy anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas
That's
my
interesting.
strategy, surprisingly similar, but in many ways it obviously didn't work for several reasons. Basically, you just try and optimize the number of cards you can keep getting for the lowest number of gems, and then optimize the number of gems you can get each turn. Never take a pile of just 2, and never reserve a card. Get 3 every time you get a gem until you can eventually start getting cards for free. But it's obviously very easily disrupted. You have to be clever, making sure to always diversify what you do to make sure that on your next turn and turn after that, you can get one of several cards. But if everyone reserves or gets rid of every card you potentially aimed for, you're in the water and potentially you're stuck getting to 10 or more gems. Or just floundering around not being able to get blue.
Yeah, I ran into some difficulties there as well with the not having diversified my gems enough. I'm like, these 3 colors were good, and then I added 1 color to it, but I really need, you gotta have that 5 color spread, and maybe like what Jasper did with having a wild in the beginning really would have helped my flexibility. I got.
Yeah, it's lack of diversity.
So you had 5 white.
Yep.
And you ended up. Lori had 5 blues, 5
Not
greens.
till the end though. You
Yeah.
had 4 white early, really early.
Very early.
Yeah.
Now, did anybody use the strategy of trying to stop somebody else from getting what they were trying to get?
It seems like everybody was doing that except for
I
me.
never really did that at all. I may have done it inadvertently, but I wasn't really looking at what anybody else wanted to do. I was just curious if anybody actually was.
Yeah, I was constantly trying to pass downhill to Jasper.
I'm just curious if that strategy ever actually works, is just trying to block somebody else, because I never worked that way with this game. So.
Yeah. Sometimes it does work, but more often than not, you're gonna end up behind because you're not going for what you really need.
Right.
I don't know. I felt like my strategy wasn't working. It was just a step behind most of the time. I was going for visitors, and I got a couple of them, but I wasn't able to really do my other strategy, which was getting a 2 or 3 point middle tiered card. And I think being 13 points, ending up with 13 points, some of those, 1 pointers, I could have waited around a little bit more and edged out on, but it just wasn't happening. It was just a little too late.
And the game really does depend on what cards get flipped.
Yeah.
What time.
It feels pretty rushed too.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference on what.
It can surprisingly slow down the game for everyone if in the beginning you get several cards in a row. 3 of the cards are just a 4, a 3, and a 1 and a 1, another 4,
Yeah, the higher,
and then
yeah.
the one that people keep having to refresh over and over again.
So overall, do you think the game is going to hold its value? Like, a year from now, 2 years from now, are you still going to be playing this game? Do you think it?
They're the reason why I have the app on my phone. It's a good game to just pull out and do, and when you have a variable amount of time.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of been its forte.
Yeah.
Usually it's like right as you're closing up shop, everybody's winding down, you're ready to leave, but somebody's like, I still want to play that one more. And Splendor can come out pretty easily.
Yeah. It's easy to set up, relatively easy to put away.
It's still kind of intriguing.
Yeah. It is easy to teach too.
Yeah.
Somebody
Plays
new,
as
people who
well.
play a lot.
Plays as well 2, 3, or 4 players.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that a beginner will have just as much, can be as competitive as somebody who's been playing it for dozens and hundreds of times?
I don't think
No.
so.
Not quite, but the gap there is smaller than a lot of other games.
It
so
is,
when is the breaking point? Like,
I mean, I've probably played maybe 5 or 6 times, and this is the first time I've even gotten remotely close. I think one other time I had like 11 or something, but
yeah.
I'd say the breaking point is when you can start being able to analyze the cards that are out and knowing the general spreads, especially of the first tier cards, and being able to plan those 3 turns ahead every single turn. Which, if you're able to get that down, can be surprisingly quick.
Let's see. As far as components, I mean, it's good. It's not spectacular, but the game's not about components. It's just
the artwork
Would you
on
like
the
to
cards.
say
Poker chips always feel good.
would you like to say where you got these pleasant translucent version of the chips?
those were I won those at a game convention.
Ah, right, Game It Forward.
Yep. And along with a few
Nobleman.
new noblemen. But besides that, the game is mechanically the same.
Yeah.
I am interested in playing the expansions for it.
Yes, definitely.
Can you articulate what you know about the expansion and how it changes it?
I hear that. No, actually, I cannot.
Okay.
From
Nazis.
I vaguely remember there was another tiles you could get where
They're castles, I think, that you have instead of noblemen.
Okay.
I think you're buying the castles, but I think they're similar
yeah
tiles. But I don't know if it changes how you get them. That I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And the speed round.
Those are
Yes. Where the dexterity-based one.
Oh, I haven't heard about that.
Yes, where everyone has a bucket on their head.
What?
And gems. We know nothing about the expansion, so
Oh.
Okay,
Go with it.
yeah,
What
that
are you talking about?
you're getting a little out there. I'm starting to think I'm glued.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing that's the imagery and the stuff is kind of
yeah
as far as that. But like you said, it doesn't really matter
yeah.
for the game. But
I think the imagery does do the job extremely well, aside from those a few corner cases where this isn't a white card, there's a huge black storefront or frontier.
Yeah.
This is
yeah,
whitish, this
Yeah.
is white.
I mean, a lot of people have said that the theme is pasted on. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's absolutely true.
Yes,
but
for sure. It doesn't really matter.
yeah, the game I think doesn't benefit any more or less because it has this theme compared to another one.
Yeah.
It's a resource engine building game, and that's it. Pure and simple. Like efficiency is what you're trying to, having an efficient machine is what you're trying to build. But you could play it with dragons. You could play it with, I don't know, farming. I don't know,
Right,
whatever.
Yeah, it could be anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trading in the Mediterranean.
Trading in the Mediterranean. You are a shopkeeper selling grain. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. Let's see. Is there anything else about the game that you've found you can talk about?
Well, compared to other games, I'd really like to be able to understand like probability of colors with this game, constantly knowing, if I could count, there's been 7 or 8 greens used, what should I start bidding? But as a starting player, not knowing, if there's I don't even know if there's an equal number of each type of gem. And that's something that I would really like to just have at my fingertips. All this space where the art could be, probability.
Yeah.
For me, that would be nice. Like the series of dots that tells you.
That's a lot of math.
One pleasant thing about this game is that you can just kind of go with it. You'll be denied that slight bit of upper level play, but you can just get the shiny things that are available, the shiny card, the shiny...
Yeah, I don't know if knowing probably would make it. Yeah, it might make a difference actually.
I also think 15 points is a little low for this game.
little
There's this
bit.
big fat stack here.
Yeah.
I'd love to start digging into it.
Yeah, I've thought that previous plays. I think I guess you could just change it, just house rule it and say, oh, we're going to go up to 24 this time or something. I mean, there's nothing to stop you from doing
even
that.
18 would be a really pleasant change. Just get
A few more of those 4s and 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly just
That's true,
there
and
to
I've
be
played
there.
rarely does anybody ever get those top tier ones.
Usually just one person gets one, they're the person that wins, and then everyone
Yeah,
else
it's one of the
is
last cards.
not
Yeah.
quite there.
Because to get 7 black, it's going to take a bit to get
I
some time to
almost,
get that many.
if I had had the forethought to keep one of my white gems around,
Yeah.
then I could have
Yeah, it
gotten
would be
it.
close, but it took to the very end almost to get to that.
It kind of feels like this deck is basically just another nobleman deck. It adds the more end game conditions that you're going to get one of.
Yeah.
I'd like to see like what the stats are. How many turns does it take to get to 15?
Right.
I wonder if it's because let's see, you have 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 plus picking up, so probably doubling that at least. So like
Yeah.
30, 34, 35 turns
Probably, yeah.
to victory.
We were all pretty close. Like you had 14,
3,
11,
5, 6.
13, and you have 14 with the wild. So that we're all pretty close the amount of cards we have. So yeah, you're probably right about the number of turns.
It kind of changes the difference on whether or not you're intelligent with which colors you pick up, or if game lack thereof.
Yeah.
I just think that may change the length of the game because I don't know
Yeah.
what they say the length is.
It would also help out newer
But I've
players.
played I've played games that are like an hour long, depending how long it takes to decide. I think we were kind of mid-range. I've played one that, we were running out of time at the end of a night and did it in 25 minutes. There was no, you don't have any time to think. You're just buying something. Not really paying attention. There's no strategy really because you're just buying so quick.
And like the decisions in this game aren't, they're easy, but they're not
Yeah,
too simple.
that's for sure.
You have to take a couple seconds to decide where which one what you might want to do. I know some people they get locked in on some people we play with have a hard time speeding up the process, but this should not take too long to play.
Seems like a 20 to 40 minute,
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 rushed, 40 minute, normal.
It seems like, yeah, after you make your play, your turn is over, you begin thinking about your next turn. And
Right, exactly.
Yes.
you can think of 2 or 3 different,
So that's the key, is think 2 or 3, because someone's going to surely
Something's
take something
gonna-
you want.
yeah.
So if you have a couple other options, then you can.
Yeah.
You gotta be willing to accept the suboptimal plays.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. Oh, for sure.
Although, do keep in mind, I kept accepting the suboptimal plays over and over again. Just expecting something to come up like I think I got... No, somebody stole the 4 white one from me.
It
Or
was one of these two.
surprising.
Photo of you.
Very surprising.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was doing that a little bit of having sort of thinking, oh, I can get that next turn, but do I get a couple coins and risk waiting and someone's going to take it, then I don't have another turn, or I just go to the one I can just buy right now for free.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
And I did a
they
little
take
of that.
it.
I did it several times. I did it both ways, depending on.
And then before you even get to the turn where you can make that decision, somebody's already taken the thing that...
Yeah.
I was feeling highly focused on this one, and I really wanted to be able to achieve it. It seemed like a high value one, very easy to get. With the tableau I was building, and then it would have been like a double kill.
4, yeah, that's.
If I had not dipped into so many blacks, then maybe I would have been able to accomplish that and ended the game much sooner. So that is something I've started considering after this game is these don't move. So if you can build up in the beginning to achieve one of these and then kill shot on one of these big guys, I think you could have a 7-point swing right there at the middle of the game.
Jerks is what you're doing.
Because that's what, I mean, I kept debating on whether to use the reserve to pull a card, something like that, like pull a card like that. And it's not like you're wasting a turn, but I almost feel like you're wasting a turn because you're not getting anything for it. So I had big debates on pulling whether to pull any reserves or not.
Yeah.
And I do it every time I feel like I don't want to do it because I don't want to waste that turn.
So let's wrap this one up and just say your final thoughts on the game.
I really like Splendor. Like I said, I've played it quite a few times, and it was one of the early games I started playing with, and I really enjoy it. Like I said, I think it's good for all sorts of people who play. It's not too complex, but it's not super easy either. But I think younger kids could even pick up on it pretty quickly. I think it's just overall a really good game.
I enjoy playing Splendor. It's not as engaging to me as I would like because I feel like I have a limited amount of information. But from the few plays I have, it keeps unlocking a new part of what I might do the next time I play. And hopefully one of these times I'll win. I'm 3 in and 3 losses.
I enjoy it. Again, have the app on my phone. Probably played over like 50 games at this point. My.
Okay.
But I do have to reciprocate. House rule it up to 18 points, possibly more. It'll help out new players, and it's just generally more enjoyable.
I've played this game a bunch of times. I really don't know how many times, but I haven't grown tired of it yet. I think it's very accessible to all gamers, basically. It's easy to get into. There's a lot of, I like the depth of the strategy, and it does kind of funnel you into like thinking about your own board, your own tableau, but in the end, yeah, it's not as engaging as other games, but I still like it. Okay, so today we're going to be trying out Southern Blonde from Diamond Bear. It's 4%, and this beer comes out of Little Rock, I believe. So let's give it a shot.
One thing that's interesting to note about this, Arkansas used to be called the Bear State. Nowadays, we go by the Diamond State.
Because some schmuck found some diamonds in the middle of some somewhere
Some
and
of
got
us
really
pour better
excited
than
about it.
others.
Friends, yeah, let's get around, drink a beer.
Yeah.
Or 3, or,
Yeah.
whatever. I'd like to get a visit from this lady anytime.
I'm gonna stick with slightly sad Jesus.
But props to you for finding this beer. I think it's always fun to find a beer that's named similar to the board game.
Yeah,
I mean, a
absolutely.
diamond beer. Bear. This,
It's gonna get
if you're really entertained by puns.
Yeah.
it's gonna get really difficult if this keeps going and we eventually get to Waking Mars. Something
Sure.
red.
Something red, yeah. Oh, there's a lot of reds, so.
There's.
So,
I'm trying to think.
I think our last game session we had Castles of Mad King Ludwig and
And yeah, you
Ludwig.
got the Ludwig.
It was the big beer.
Yeah,
Couldn't get any closer.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
it's perfect. Yeah.
Can't wait to see what you have for your next game.
Why aren't these beer companies designing beer names with board games in
Yeah,
mind?
exactly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're getting a lot of local breweries.
Fantasy Flight and Anheuser-Busch. Just $1 million idea. Just send the check to
Some residuals. It'll be fine.
Come on.
We've got lots
Yeah.
of local breweries. They're always doing new stuff.
Mhm.
Wouldn't take much to do it. Slightly.
Oh yeah, Diamond Bear, yeah. Give us some money and we'll pair your next title.
Yeah.
We need some find somebody to do ones for space.
We are
fantasy.
not as
Yeah.
minority as you might think we are. Us board gamers. But
I can't wait to see what fun you come up with your next game. Except, what's it called? World's Fair.
World's Fair.
And or what was the other name of the game?
Actually, I saw one.
Age of War.
Age of War.
Where was I?
World's Fair
there
with
was-
fair
there
trade.
was one
That is the
There's-
next game, right?
There was a beer at the
World's
Ferris
Fair.
wheel on the
Okay.
label, but I can't remember where.
On what?
There was a Ferris wheel on the label. I found a beer that had a Ferris wheel, but I
okay.
can't remember. I don't remember what it was or anything.
Okay.
I
Well,
saw it. I was like, oh, that'd be good.
Mr. Opportunity.
Yeah.
Maybe in the expansion. I don't
Yeah.
know.
There you go.
Um,
I don't know where it was. Probably back in.
So yeah, getting down to the bottom of the glass here, and it's still the same. Nothing. It actually, I don't hate it. Like some beers, that you get down to the bottom, it's like, it's not as good as it.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
start out fine. And
Yeah, but this is pretty consistent at least.
No, that's where I am right now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I still got half left. Oh.
It's a pleasant thing to keep around and just sip occasionally. You don't really notice it, one way or the other.
But as from previous beer reviews I've done, I like the bitter and the hops, and
Yeah.
this just doesn't do it.
I like.
It's
more
pretty
of the
sweet.
Doesn't
Sweet.
I respect it for what it is, but it's definitely not.
It reminds me of Miller.
Yes. that right there is my problem.
And I really like Miller.
I'll leave that out there.
Oh, okay.
No. It's
Oh, I mean,
Reminds me of a company
Aw.
that sounds like.
Biller. No, I mean you are right. No, it does taste very nondescript. Like Miller-like, very domestic.
Very much so.
more like a High Life.
Yeah.
It is a champagne of beers, so.
Hey. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm sure from the brewery's perspective, most
This is a
even
corn
small
brew.
craft breweries will do at least one that's just sort of the intro beer to get
Mhm.
people to come into the craft brewery and start drinking, and then they move into complexity from there. And that's definitely what this one is for this brewery, I'm sure.
if you can get your hands on another one of these beers, I'd like to see it in the future.
Diamond Bear specifically?
Wait, if we can get what from?
If this is an introductory beer for Diamond Brewery,
Oh,
Oh yeah, I can
more
bring it
complex
up.
one. Yeah.
you know, one with
Their pale
a
ale is excellent.
one with a big burly 350-pound biker on the front in the same pose.
Sure, yeah, I've got one in mind.
Okay. You don't get on that for the. We'll just do a wrap on this one.
Yeah. Going back to the point of the Miller similarity, it's. I forget my thought now. The beer's gone to my head.
All those good thoughts go away.
Well, it is like you said. I mean, being 4% alcohol too. It's sort of meant to be a fast drink,
Yeah.
more than just one. Versus the heavier ones that are
Yeah.
7 or 8. You're obviously not going to drink a ton of those. So
Yeah. Is this what the college kids are drinking nowadays?
No, I'm pretty sure the college kids these days are just drinking straight vodka. They can't deal with this economy.
I think if Splendor were to be paired up with something in the future, probably go with something dark.
You think?
I think it would go with something like a
like a porter or a stout.
stout.
Really?
Add some depth.
But Splendor doesn't have it. You're adding it because Splendor doesn't have it, so you have to add it to it. I mean, really, as far as playing with this game, actually, I think this was sort of along the right lines because like you guys saying, you can drink a few. You still have to have some concentration for this game, so
No.
it's low enough alcohol. I think you could, but it's not so complex that you couldn't have a couple with it. So
Or
I
maybe
think it's a
I'm
good
wrong.
mix.
So, final thought?
My final thought is opens easy, goes down easy, and very forgetful.
That sounds like a very positive review.
Forgetful is a perfect way. It's not
Yeah.
bad. It's
Yeah.
just there's no impression of it,
Yeah.
which I think is how I feel about most lagers, though. So
What do you think, Charles?
It's a liquid that you can drink, and it makes you feel fuzzy in your head.
because you said you don't drink a lot of beer, so did you like it?
Yeah, not the most sophisticated. Yes, actually.
Yeah.
Again, it's quite inoffensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Take the-
That's a perfect way to describe it. Yeah.
Take it as you will, but that's the description.
So my taste buds have been ruined by all the coffee IPAs I
It's-
drink.
It's fine beer. It's a fine beer.
Fine or pine?
Fine.
It's a pine beer.
It's a fine beer. It's fine. I'm up for a second.
Did you have one you wouldn't be up for a second though? That's the question.
Lori, what's your final thoughts?
Yeah, you kind of said it perfectly. Sort of the forgetfulness of it. I mean, it wasn't necessarily bad. It just there was not much to it. Pretty one note for me. And again, with the preface that drinking a lot of really hoppy and a lot of IPAs all the time, that it definitely anything that doesn't have any hops or very little, I just don't. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Or can of beer, I should say. But at the same time, yeah, super hot day, out on the lake on the kayak or something, yeah, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
That's you can just drink a bunch of them and don't really feel it and don't think about it and it goes down easy.
So you're from Canada. Would you drink
I am.
this in the tundra, like out there in the cold?
Well, as much as I've lived down here a long time and I do enjoy the craft beers from here, when I'm in Canada, I drink Canadian craft beer. So you know how we feel about American beers.
Well,
And actually, that's not to say because I do like the Diamond Bear Brewery a lot. And I've
Yeah.
been there, and
No, they
actually
do
really,
have
they do
really
really
good
good
beers.
beers. And again, for me, it's just a style
Yeah.
preference, and it's hard to say anything's bad. It's just a style it's not my favorite kind. So
Yeah. That one in the green can or green labeling, it's a double hop or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember what it is, but that one's really good. It's
Diamond Bear,
from Diamond Bear.
yeah, they do an Imperial IPA.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, I was really impressed by it.
Yeah, and their standard pale ale, which is on a lot of taps and stuff around it. It's quite good.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do like Diamond Bear as as a brewery. And they do a presidential one, which I think is funny.
Okay. Right. Okay, so this is how we rate this beer.
I have a thumb.
All right.
I do feel bad doing that for beers
Yeah.
where I know it's just a style I just don't like.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
So that's.
I told you, don't whine.